Fantasy Football League. What's going on? Welcome into an exclusive episode of the Go Fantasy Football Podcast. Week 1 of the playoffs, so regular season is done. 2020, what a crazy season, as you all know. Postponements, man, player replacements, last minute shit going on every week. Pretty wild. For a little while, it looked like it wasn't going to be bad, and then who was it? The Tennessee Titans, I think, first kind of tipped the scales there. And then it just kind of got ugly from there, week in, week out. But the NFL did a great job, at least for fantasy purposes, of getting the games in. Here we are in week 14. They're going to keep trucking through. We're going to be able to finish the playoffs, no problem at all. So, yeah, what do we do with this year? Let's take a look here. Look at these final standings here. Here we go. All right, Bone Tomahawk, congratulations, man. Most points in the league this year. Also, the best record, going to take home both those prizes. Well done, sir. Well done. I think we made the only trade in the league this year. We'll get into that, just a short bit here. We'll get into the matchups, but I think it worked out for you for sure. You needed that running back, and hey, glad I can make it happen for you. Unfortunately, to everyone else, it didn't help any of us out too much here. Joey, Camaro virus. Whew, just slipped in there at the end, buddy, in that last week. Congratulations for getting in there. Knocked out Mosby's Rangers. Don't forget Harambe. Both also 5-8, but couldn't squeeze into that last playoff spot. Hey, Joey gets in, gets his chance to take down the number 1 seed. That's what happened to me last year as the number 1. Got taken out by number 8 in the first round, and that happens, man. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to start with that matchup. Now, we're going to look back a little bit here at the first time these two teams played. Bone Tomahawk and Camaro Virus played all the way back in week 3. Seems like forever ago. And Bone Tomahawk won that game handily, 181 points, 0.78 to 146.16. Big score, not a bad week for Camaro Virus and Joey, 146, but 181 points. Dak Prescott, you remember him, 40 points in that game. Keenan Allen had 33 points. DeAndre Hopkins had 26.7 points, and the not yet mentioned, but James Robinson, the player I traded to you the week before, came up with 30.9 points. I was desperate for a quarterback. It was only 2 weeks of James Robinson. Didn't know if he was going to, still be the number 1 back there for long. You had that apprehension as well when we were trying to make that deal. I was already panicking about Carson Wentz sucking, so much ass. And I was really looking to get rid of him and not for a streamer. So we made the deal. I gave you James Robinson and Henry Ruggs as just kind of a toss in there for Aaron Rodgers. And that gave me a quarterback I could play every week. Also, you at that point in week 3, you had picked up Justin Herbert. So at that point, you were fine for a backup. And obviously that didn't, follow through. I wound up grabbing Herbert after you dropped him also. But pretty big game there from a lot of your top guys. On the other side there, Joey, Cooper Kupp had a nice game, almost 29 points. Chubb for 24. But, DeAndre Watson only had 21 points. And then you started N'Keal Harry, Mark Andrews, who of course you were going to start, and David Montgomery. All 3 of those guys put up between 5.5 and 7.5 points. And that kind of put the nail in your coffin there. So we look into tonight's matchup here. Looks like with the projections, you're down by about 12 points. We know projections certainly only mean so much. Not much for a lot of people. You can just kind of throw them in the wind there. But I like to have a nice big lead in the projections. Just gives you that fake confidence when you go into the week, right? It's like hitting balls off the mat when you're playing golf. It makes you feel good. It's a fake confidence, but it's nice anyway here. So, what are you going to need to happen to win this game, Joey? Well, I think you need to get off to a big start tonight. Fact is, you got Cooper Kupp. You also have, John Johnson? Is that his name? I don't know. The safety for the Rams, but more importantly, Cooper Kupp. He's projected just over 15 points. I think you need a 20-plus point night from Cooper Kupp. Get this team started off right, scoring some points, because you're giving up points to most of these positions here. Deshaun Watson playing against Chicago, that's going to be a big one for you there. Hopefully Julio's healthy. You've got points here. J.D. McKissick, we don't know. It could be another, 8-10 target kind of game with Gibson out. You got opportunities here. You need Mark Andrews to come through for you in this matchup. It's going to be a tough one here because some decent matchups here on the other side for Bone Tomahawk here. If you play Ben Roethlisberger, on the road, they're expecting, I think it's like 35-40% chance of rain right now. Be interesting to see if you go ahead and stay with them. Let's see what you got down here. You got Matt Ryan playing at the Chargers. I wouldn't be surprised if you're thinking about that and you're kind of, tilting one way or the other as we lead up to the weekend, but that's how it goes. Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, hopefully he starts running routes more than 10 yards down the field. James Robinson, that's your playmaker there. And then Darren Waller, at the end of the day, if he puts up another, fucking monster game like he did last week, it's going to be tough to come back from that. So, absolutely, the number one seed here, Bone Tomahawk, has the advantage, but not a huge one here playing against the 8 seed. And definitely a possibility here for an upset. We'll see what happens. But hopefully for you, Cooper Kupp gets out to a big start tonight and puts you on the right track to hopefully getting that upset for the rest of us here that aren't looking forward to that matchup, right? All right, so let's move on to the number 2 seed, Frozen Tundra, taking on the number 7 seed, Prestige Worldwide. All right, so let's see here. A pretty healthy projection advantage for Frozen Tundra, the number 2 seed, 17 points at the moment. And listen, this game, just like the first one here, probably going to come down to bench decisions. These two teams played in Week 11 in a relatively low-scoring game here. Frozen Tundra won 125.42 to 123.4. Basically a 2-point victory in a very low-scoring game. For Frozen Tundra, they were led by their Packers, right? You got Devontae Adams, 26.6 points. Aaron Jones, 17.1. Pretty bad week for Joe Burrow, 13 points there. I think that might have been his last week. He might have got knocked out that week. So, didn't have a big lead here. But on the other side for Prestige Worldwide, went with Derek Carr. Good call for that game. 27.6 points. Michael Thomas finally came back to life here, 22.4 points. And Antonio Gibson, 17.4. Where it all went bad here was rolling with Logan Thomas at tight end, 2.8 points. T. Higgins, 6.6 points. And you benched Tyler Lockett, had your stud on the bench, 21.7 points. And in a game where you played T. Higgins, that's a 15-point swing. That spelled doom there, but that was then. This is now. This is Week 14. So, who we got here with the matchups? Who do we got on the bench here? Let's see. Let's look at quarterbacks here. Phillip Rivers and Kirk Cousins, two guys that are, kind of on a weekly streamer basis only here. Looks like we got Taysom Hill for Frozen Tundra on the bench. And do we have any quarterbacks? Daniel Jones. I don't think that's really an option. Not sure who else might be out there. Kirk Cousins is on a roll. At Tampa Bay, not the best matchup, but they haven't been as good as they started the season in their secondary the last few weeks. There's an opportunity for Cousins here to keep his role going. I'm going to go advantage Cousins here, even though the projection is basically even. Wide receivers, pretty good matchup here. You got Devontae Adams, probably the top wide receiver weapon in the league on a weekly basis, and Michael Pittman against Michael Thomas and Calvin Ridley. There's question marks here. Really, he's going to have high-value targets. The question is, Thomas, will they throw the ball? Will they be able to throw the ball, with Taysom Hill? You kind of get the feeling if you hone in on Michael Thomas alone, you can kind of slow down their offense. But we'll see what happens with that game. I think I'm going to put the advantage towards Prestige Worldwide in that one also with Thomas and Ridley. Because Michael Pittman at Vegas, his production has been up and down for the last handful of weeks. He's got, potential for sure. When we look on the bench here, running backs and wide receivers, got some pretty good options here for both teams. That's why I think the bench is going to be absolutely the deal breaker in this game. Deal breaker is not the right word, but it's going to be what this game hinges on. Who puts the right lineup in? I think both teams will have enough points to win this game on their roster. It's just, if they make the right decisions here, right? So you got Devontae Parker, DJ Chark, Nyheim Hines over here now. Josh Jacobs, I see in your starting lineup here, questionable. I don't think he's going to play. I absolutely don't think he's going to play. I've got him in another couple of leagues and wish he was healthy, but I don't see it happening. DeAndre Swift is still a question mark, so may have to go in there and play one of these receivers. Go ahead and move Swift up, assuming he plays, and then go ahead and throw in Parker or Chark. So that's a big decision. On the other side here, got Wayne Gallman in. Gallman's been really good. I get it. I've been off Gallman a little bit, but I've been wrong. And Corey Davis was the play last week, but are you chasing the points here? I don't know. A.J. Brown's not totally healthy. Could be a good call. Problem is you got a couple of high draft picks on the bench. Tyler Lockett again in Week 11 against this team. Lockett was the killer. Beasley's had some huge weeks in a tough matchup versus Pittsburgh. And Miles Sanders, what a disappointment. I've also got some shares of Miles Sanders, and I'm going to have to play him this week because Jacobs isn't playing. And I'm going to have him in my lineup, but I wish I had another option. I've also got Antonio Gibson in that league. And fucking hell, man, I can't do anything about it. So, it's going to be close here. I think this game's closer than the projections lie here. I am going to put the, favor for the favor is going to be Frozen Tundra for me. For sure, I think he's going to be set up to go. But this is going to be a close game that comes down to the wire. It's going to come down to the decisions that have to be made. All right, let's go to the 3 seed here. Jeanette, show me them TDs, Jeanette. Against Persian Clooney, so 3 versus 6. Jeanette's team has been just a scoring monster. Had some tough luck in the beginning of the season there, including against me. I won a squeaker. I think we both scored about 170 points or so early in the season. I came out on top by like 1.5 points. But turned it around and started kicking ass, and this team is an absolute buzzsaw right now. Really doesn't even matter if she's shooting at quarterback. It's been working out, but decisions to be made here. Let's look at this. This is by far the widest margin of projection. 26 plus points here, advantage for show me them TDs. And not surprising, you were the 158 points projected, but interesting matchups here. I think the quarterback, advantage has to go the other way here. Has to go to Persian Clooney here. Josh Allen, I know it's not the best matchup with Pittsburgh, but Allen, for the most part, except for a couple games there in the middle of the season, has been on an absolute tear. And I'm okay with giving him the advantage over Jared Goff in another tough matchup tonight against New England here. So obviously, Jeanette looking for Goff to get off to a nice big start for her tonight, give her that lead going into Sunday. Wide receivers here, this is kind of a big advantage here, right? So DK Metcalf and Brandon Cooks. I do think they're a little aggressive with DK Metcalf's projection here. Over 24 points, I know, playing against the Jets, but I tend to, really be skeptical when the projection is over 20-something points unless it's like Devontae Adams, somebody like that. Brandon Cooks getting a lot of the targets without Will Fuller. Going against Jarvis Landry, who has been on fire. And Marquise Hollywood Brown. Hollywood has been, really bad all year. Has been certainly better the last couple or few weeks. But that's a big disadvantage there. And then, probably the best running back duo in the league here, Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook. What are we doing, guys? How are we drafting that we let this shit happen? Honestly, I'm as fucking much to blame as everybody is. But Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook, that's a fucking buzzsaw on a weekly basis here. You got Henry in a great matchup at Jacksonville, Cook in a not great matchup at Tampa Bay. I don't think it matters for Cook what the matchup is. Going against Alvin Kamara and Jonathan Taylor, if Breeze were back, Kamara would be in the mid-20s for projection, but it's going to be Taysom Hill again. The ceiling's just somewhat limited, right? Last week was an awesome game, for Kamara, the way it's been going lately, and it still wasn't like, anywhere near an awesome Alvin Kamara game. So, this might be the week to get on this team here, right? There's a lot of question marks. They've lost, a lot of points here. So, what else we got? Jonathan Taylor, there's great upside with both these running backs, but still going to have to give the advantage to show me them TDs. That's, the running backs and wide receivers get the advantage here in a pretty big way. Gronkowski, slight advantage for me over Hunter Henry. Matchup here doesn't really matter to me. It's more about just the player and the targets, and they've both been getting targets, but I like Gronk a little bit better. Adam Thielen, let's see. Eric Ebron, I don't know if that's going to be your your flex, if that's who you just have in right now. I would play Ebron over Hunter Henry. I don't know that I would have him in my flex when I have, guys like CeeDee Lamb or Mike Evans on the bench. So we'll see what the Persian Clooney's lineup looks like come Sunday. I'm not convinced that this is going to be the lineup here. I think it could be Mike Evans here instead of Marquise Brown. And I think it could be Devin Singletary or maybe even Tyler Boyd or CeeDee Lamb in this flex spot. I'd play over one of the tight ends. But that's just me. What the fuck do I know, right? Also interesting here, Lamar Jackson on the bench at Cleveland. I get it. Not the best matchup, and he hasn't been great. But you draft, Lamar Jackson when you do. Well, I guess you didn't draft him. You probably kept him, and that's why you drafted Josh Allen. So I get it. But, man, that's tough. It's tough to be week 1 of the playoffs and have your boy Lamar on the bench. So I think it's a big, big advantage towards show me them TDs. And I got to say, I'm not going to be surprised if this team puts up 175 points this week with their matchups. And I'm going to call this the team to beat in the playoffs for sure. We got to see what the matchups look like next week. But if you're asking me, this is the team I didn't want to play. This is the team I don't want to play. So there you go. Just for context here, these two teams played each other in Week 6. And Show Me Them TDs basically doubled up the Persian Clooney score. So you got a chance for some redemption here, right? That first one was awful, was ugly, got beaten up badly. So can you come back here and turn it around, play spoiler, knock this great team out of the playoffs? Man, I hope so, but I'm not counting on it. Whew, that first matchup, Derrick Henry, 264 yards from scrimmage, 46.4 points. Goodness. In that same game, Fuller went for 27.3 points. Cooks for almost 22 points. That alone, those 3 players outscored Persian Clooney in Week 6. That was a beating, buddy. That was a beating. So hopefully it gets better here for you. But I think you're going to be in for a long, long round 1. All right, let's get to my game finally. Well, I got to tell you, peaking up at the right time here. 163 points projected, the highest projection on the weekend. We know that doesn't mean much, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. So this matchup really comes down to Kansas City Chiefs at the Miami Dolphins. I'm going up against the monster Chiefs stack over here. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but also in the same game, Myles Gaskin and Jason Sanders. Not to mention, I am the proud Travis Kelce owner. So goodness, I mean, at the end of that game, we might know who the winner and who the loser is, but it wasn't really the case the first time we played. So for context, in Week 9, I beat the Jets in a very high-scoring game here, 173.5 points to 168.5 points, a 5-point win. That was the week where Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill put up a combined 78 points just between the two of them. All right, monster game. I got a goose out of Justin Jackson, got knocked out, I think, on the first play. The goose and the 78 for Mahomes and Hill. How did I come back? Well, it was a team effort. Almost 29 points each from Travis Kelce and Jerry Jeudy, his big bust-out game against Atlanta. Thank God I put him up into my lineup. That was the game-winning decision right there. Juju scored over 21 points, so that was huge. And then, this was my worst trade all year. I mentioned that I grabbed Aaron Rodgers in that trade after week 2. I think after week 3 or 4, he dropped Justin Herbert. I scooped up Herbert, and then I battled on who to play every week. There were, I think, 3 or 4 weeks in a row where I played Herbert over Rodgers, and I think it lost me 2 of those weeks. And this was almost another one. Rodgers had put up 40 points, and I didn't learn my fucking lesson the next week, but that's what happened. So how did you lose that 78-point advantage? Well, it was Denver. Denver fucked you, man. Melvin Gordon, 4.7 points. Noah Fant, 7.5 points. Those were the guys that didn't get it done for you. And you know what you do? You put up 168.5 points. Usually you're going to win. In this case, you didn't. But you're probably going to need to put up a lot of points in this game also. I think we're headed for another barn burner. I can't lie. I think this is the week to play against your team. Miami's defense has been strong, especially the secondary. I'm not saying they're going to stop Mahomes, but he hasn't been playing his absolute best, and Miami has kind of been playing their best right now. So, I like my chances here. The rest of my team is really strong and trending upwards. Finally, the duo of Austin Eckler and Kenyon Drake that I thought was going to be, the fucking world-beating, combo, finally is trending up. We'll see what happens here if Drake can, come through in a tough matchup at the Giants. Also here, I got to play both of my Pittsburgh receivers, Deontay Johnson and Juju. Juju's been such a pain in the balls to play every week. I did grab Kiki QT this week off of waivers. I have Judy also. Damian Harris. All these guys are, in, contemplation for my flex spot. But I'm really not sure, man. It's tough. This decision is really tough. I'm probably going to stay with Juju. Hope that he still gets the 8, 9, 10 targets he's been getting. It probably isn't going to amount to much, yardage-wise, but maybe he'll score, and maybe that'll work out for me. Even if the weather's bad, I'm going with Deontay Johnson. I got Robert Woods tonight. That's big for me also here, projected for 16 points. I love 20-plus points out of Woods tonight somehow in a tough matchup. He's been getting targeted like crazy, 11-plus targets each of the last 3 weeks. Hopefully they don't get fucking Stugotz like the Chargers did against the Patriots last week. I don't think it's going to happen. They're at home. McVay's a little bit more experienced here in game planning. And Goff's not a rookie, so, sometimes he looks like it. So, and then on the other side here, obviously it's going to be that Chiefs stack, right? Mahomes, Hill, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's been relatively disappointing. If it's a Clyde Edwards-Helaire day, I'm okay with that, because then it's probably not a Mahomes, day or a Hill day, and that probably benefits me. Travis Kelce should eat no matter what. He had one bad week this year, one not good week, and then all very good to great weeks. So I think he's fine. He's pretty matchup proof here. Hopefully they'll use him as that safety blanket. Looks like T.Y. Hilton up in your lineup here after a couple of good weeks. He's been terrible all year long, but looks like you might be going with him here. It's it's ballsy. It's ballsy, right? What else you got here? Sterling Shepard, Tim Patrick, Marvin Jones. For me, Marvin Jones is the way to go. I'm not telling you how to play your team. I'm not trying to set you up for a trap here. I'm just doing what I do. I mean, he's been getting the targets with Galladay out. I know it's a tough matchup against Green Bay secondary. Jair Alexander should be back, but tough for me to sit Marvin Jones right now, especially for T.Y., who, I get it, they're both, just for the last couple of weeks, they've trended a little bit the other way. But for most of the season, it hasn't been like that. Raheem Mostert in a tough matchup against that Washington front seven. Also giving up work to Jeff Wilson. Again, it's not just because of my projected points. I like my chances this week. I got a very strong team that's trending in the right direction this time of year. Definitely playing Aaron Rodgers and not Herbert. I know Herbert's got a great matchup also, but I'm learning my lesson. That's the thing. Don't get too fucking cute, right? I know Herbert's got the great matchup, but after that beating from New England, I don't know how his confidence is. He could come out and be ready to kill it, but he could come out and be kind of shaky and really not feel good about himself. So I'm not sure. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers. Dude is feeling himself right now. So that's what I like. But we're going to hope to get started tonight with a big game from Bobby Trees, Robert Woods, baby. We're going to get fucking touchdowns. I'm calling 25 points for Robert Woods tonight. Put me in a good spot here. That's it. That's it for round one, y'all. Hopefully, the guys that didn't make the playoffs, you can come back, with a vengeance next season, ready to kick some ass, with a good keeper and ready to go for that draft. To all the teams that are in the playoffs, I wish you the best of luck until you play me. And then the GOAT will beat your ass, hopefully. But no, it's going to be a good weekend of local football. Hopefully, next year, we're watching the games at North River. I don't know how many of you have been, if any of you have been. But, I haven't been. I've been hanging out with family, just relaxing, watching the game with my pops, and, enjoying some family time and some good quality football. So that'll be the plan on Sunday, tonight. Crack open some beers, watch this game and hopefully get off to a nice lead. So, you guys have a good weekend. We'll talk to you guys next week with our playoff week 2 hype show. Talk to you then, y'all.